The idea that you would have your second album and you would win another Grammy, did that feel like a comeback to you, or did it feel like a natural evolution?
What is it that you want to do? You don't have to know everything. I think that's another of our problems. We keep trying to wait for the answer for everything before we get moving.
Welcome to Come Back with Erica Cobb, a community of folks like yourselves who are getting ready and staying ready for their next chapter. Well, occasionally an icon graces us with their presence, and that's exactly what's happening today, because my guest is a Broadway diva and an original dream girl with new music out, and I am so in love with it. She is a Grammy and Tony Award winning artist. And I am telling you, y'all gonna lose your mind. Miss Jennifer Holliday, welcome to Come Back with Erica Cobb.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you, Erica.
The honor is all mine, Queen, all mine. So let's get it started, because you have just recently been unmasked, literally. Nick Cannon just revealed that you were Miss Teddy on The Masked Singer. So I find it interesting because it is nearly impossible not to recognize your iconic voice. So did you do anything to try to throw people off the trail?
No, the only thing I did was I tried to do the movement, to have lots more movement and dance. And I picked songs that had some rhythm to them, because most people, know me as a very intense ballad singer.
Yes.
And so I thought that could kind of throw them off a little bit if I was dancing and moving and just pick some different type of songs that they wouldn't imagine hearing me to sing.
Well, I mean, it's always funny when we see every singer unmasked, because most of the time we're like, I knew it. But then it's kind of like a gaslight situation, because you're like, well, maybe. And then they add the clues. So were there any clues for Miss Teddy that really represented you the most?
No, I think I think because a lot of people don't really know a lot about me, that kind of made them hard, for the clues. So, I was raised in the Baptist church choir, right? But all of us have been. So it's kind of like, okay, so then they kind of got thrown off by it being so much like, okay, well, it's got to be, either a gospel singer or whatever like that. But it's like, well, Aretha, all of us, Gladys, all of us born and raised in the church. So that was the only thing I think that could have been closest. And I think that they did try, to do something about dream girls, but it didn't really, it was like dreams. That's the closest they came, was like dreams. Then they had the Supremes, and then they had, for holiday, they had Halloween and Christmas that was supposed to represent holidays. And I was like, okay. So I think it was a little difficult for them to figure out what could be identified, with me personally.
Well, I mean, some of us were shocked, some of us weren't so shocked, but I mean, I think as a fan, we're just excited to see you and see you in this element, because when I think of, for me personally, and I might be wrong about this, it kind of is a strong relationship to a Broadway performance in terms of the actual live audience and all of that. So do you find any similarities between The Masked Singer and Broadway?
Well, not really. I think the only thing you can do is that it's a costume, The hard part, though, is that it's a costume with the mask on. And so you're having to perform, without, with this mask on. So maybe you could compare it to maybe Beauty and the Beast or something. But most of the time we're not in a head costume, in a costume, of course, for Broadway. So, and the costume was a little heavy, but I was able to really work with it to get kind of, because it really, like I said, I wanted to do movement to kind of throw everybody off, and say,
Mhm.
well, it might be Jennifer Holliday, but Jennifer Holliday ain't doing all that dancing and
Yeah.
carrying on. So that's what I was really hoping, would throw them off.
Yeah. Well, it worked. It worked. And I think, we always are looking for ways to diversify the things that we love to put like new energy into it. So, what did you
Mhm.
think when you initially got the call to be on the show?
Well, a friend of mine, David Foster, who's, famous songwriter and producer, and he also, performs himself. He also produced And I'm Telling You I'm Not Going, for Dreamgirls. And he, gave me a call and he said, well, they're looking for you at the Masked Singer. Do I know where you are or no? And I say, well, I guess so, and he says, well, I did it and it was fun. He said, I think you would have fun. He said it's a great, group. They're not stressful or anything, whatever like that. And so I said, yeah, I said, I might do it because my fans love the show. I've been on the show before,
Right.
that sort of thing. I haven't been on the show, but I meant to say, people have guessed
Mm.
other people as me, and so I just thought it would be a great thing for my fans.
I just listened to context clues and I gleaned that you and David Foster have a close relationship because he called you to ask if you want to be on The Masked Singer. And his response was, do I know where you are or do I not know where you are? And that's the most close friend question I have ever heard.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, because he knows that I'm kind of, not very public. So that's why a lot of people don't really know anything about me. So when they were trying to get clues, I was like, well, I don't know what you're gonna pick, because people don't really know a lot about me,
Yeah.
And so yeah, David knew right away. It was like, do I know where you are or do I not? I just told him I didn't find you or you didn't answer or something.
That is awesome. I will never forget that. And I'm going to use that for other people. Like,
You gonna
do
use
I,
it too?
yeah, do I know you? Do I know your number? Can I get a hold of you or no? I don't
Right.
know. We are speaking with the icon, Tony Award winner, Grammy Award winner, Miss Jennifer Holliday. Now, you mentioned that David Foster wrote And I Am Telling You, for which you won a Tony and a Grammy Award for. So, what did it feel like to perform it at last year's Tonys, especially since it's been 40 years since Dreamgirls debuted on Broadway?
Well, actually, David Foster produced, and I'm telling you, I'm not going. It was written by Henry Krieger and Tom Ian, and so to return to the Tony stage last year and to perform that number, I can't explain the whole feeling in the sense where I was definitely excited, but I also definitely wanted to present it as Effie 40 years later
Hmm.
and as Jennifer Holliday's 40 years later, because at that point, I'm only 21 years old,
Hmm.
when I'm performing it. Now, as a woman of last year's 60, this year's 61. And it just made it like, okay, I want to bring it, but I want to bring it with a new sense of of the character all of these years later, myself a mature woman all of these years later, and then just a little bit of something for where we are today with with TV and having done the movie and everything. So we wanted to try to figure out what would the staging be like, because the last time when I was on there, it came out of a scene, you know,
Hmm.
and so therefore this time I was doing it just kind of cold without a scene, an introduction, and just going into it, So a lot of thought went into it, and I was just very happy to work with another director choreographer, Sergio Trujillo, and he helped me get all of that together. He's with Ain't Too Proud to Beg, and so he helped me to kind of make it bring it into a more youthful, but still definitely classic theater.
Yeah, and that kind of segues into my next question because and I am telling you, obviously, is such an iconic song. Everybody loves to sing it, myself included, as a novice, not even singer. I'm not a singer, but I like to sing that
Right.
song. And I
Right.
always wonder when you make these artistic choices, especially when you take that big, deep breath right before the final note. Was that a decision that you made as an artist, or was that something that you were directed to do?
That was actually something that I made as a decision as an artist, only because that's kind of the way that I sing. So when I sing, I kind of breathe heavy. And so therefore I'm always taking a deep breath and I'm always doing all of this, kind of thing. And so in the show itself, it comes at the end of the first act and also comes out of another scene. So it's already building, 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 building. So the emotion that's in that song is reaching a high point from the scene before
Mm.
and from what's going on. So that's why by the time I get to that point and I take that breath before doing it, is because I'm always taking a deep breath, and that's why I can hold the note so long, because I have so much air that I have gathered in that breath.
I mean, I'm I can't even, like, I'm trying not to fangirl, but I'm totally fangirling.
Thank you. Thank
It's just, it
you.
really is. And I think about, here's the real question, because like I mentioned, everybody tries to sing this song. I would say they sing it, but they try to sing it. How often are you impressed percentage wise by people singing the song versus how often are you a little embarrassed by people trying to sing the song?
I would say that I'm about 80% impressed.
Okay.
Um, the reason why is because we have a younger generation here where a lot of people are very extremely talented, you
Mm.
know? So I don't know, because before people used to say, are you worried about the future of music? You're worried about the future of music. And I would say that I was about 10 years ago, but now I think that the future of music and the crossing of genres, cross mixing of genres of music, and crossing of young and old veterans of music has been quite inspiring. I don't know, like if you watched the last Grammys, it felt like that it was a tribute to the people
Yeah.
before, even though they were all really young. Everything that they did, their performances had some element of something that they had witnessed
Mhm.
uh one of us do,
Mhm.
and that was a proud feeling. So when I hear the song now, I hear people singing it, and I really feel them singing it from where they are at their talent level, and then from a sense of in their heart where it
Mhm.
comes, where it comes from. So it's not like a joke or anything. They're taking it serious, and a lot of it is from them wanting to um win. If a lot of them are on these competition shows, or if they are just wanting to perform. So I've actually been quite impressed.
Well, well, first of all, clearly you haven't been to a lot of karaoke places lately.
This
We're
is true. I haven't been out. That's true. I haven't been out. I haven't been out.
Because I am telling you, and I'm telling you, is a song that at karaoke, I'm like, oh
Can't get
Lord.
messed up. Okay.
Maybe that percentage of 80/20 would be flipped to
Would
more
drop if
embarrassed,
I get to go hang out at a couple of karaoke places.
especially when the tequila gets flowing. I know that's when I
Uh-oh.
think that I'm Miss Jennifer Holliday incarnate.
Okay. You get that courage up. Get a little,
Exactly.
yeah. I get it. I
Exactly.
get it. I get it.
Well, you were talking about proud moments or moments that bring you pride and joy, and you actually won another Grammy for your second album. How did that differ from your first Grammy win?
Well, my first Grammy win, I didn't have an album. I only had the song, you
Mm,
know. And so therefore I was just getting new, and even though I'm grateful that I won, I wasn't expecting to win. I was also nominated in Best New Artist.
mm.
So I thought maybe I could have a possibility of winning that, but not the actual Grammy for Best R&B Performance because I didn't have an album, and
Mm.
I was in a category with everyone, with Aretha, Diana Ross, some of the lists went on, and so this time for my second album, I had a body of work, now 2 albums under my belt, and really beginning to know how to use my instrument outside of theater. You
Mm.
know, how do I record a song and interpret lyrics and make a song my own, so I really felt that I was growing. And even though I was very grateful and surprised about that one too, but I had begin to see as an artist, what I wanted to sound like outside of the Broadway stage.
I just want to stop down for a second because obviously you're on Comeback with Erica Cobb, and our audience is all about gleaning these little nuggets of wisdom and sage advice and, to help them on their journeys. And I find it so fascinating. That's a fun fact that a lot of people don't know is that you didn't have an album when you became a Grammy Award winner. So the
Right.
idea that you would have your second album and you would win another Grammy, did that feel like a comeback to you, or did it feel like a natural evolution in your career?
Well, no, now feels like a comeback. Now, with the new song that I have, and it's slowly moving, to get up the charts. I don't think it will, get as high because I'm don't have like the marketing money. It's something I released on my own in the independent label. But at 61 years old, to re-enter the music business and to have such a great response feels good, and feels like a comeback as I this third act of my life and career. So it's like uh a lot of people only get a first act in life, and some are lucky to get a second, but I feel like, this is definitely the beginning of a third act for me, and I'm, so grateful. So I feel that this time is really the comeback. And if it's not like really about this song, with So in Love, with it being a kind of throwback to R&B ballads, but it's more so about the process of that. I want to record again, I want to sing again, and there is an audience there who is saying to me, yes, Jennifer, sing new music, we'll support you, we'll
Yeah.
buy it, we'll come to the concert, we'll let you, do. So that's an incredible feeling.
Well, you mentioned that you released So in Love as an independent artist, and there's a beauty one to that for a multitude of reasons. One, that you are having far more autonomy over your body of work than a lot of artists who get signed with these big labels, and you can attest to that as someone who's been in that position. But also, that's exactly where the artists that you were referring to, who were younger artists who performed on the Grammys, a lot of these artists have taken this road, and it's so exciting to see artists not being in golden cages. So you're right in step with all of that. And So in Love is such a beautiful song to me because it's so transparent with your experiences, being very open and vulnerable with the idea of falling in love again. And I also love the part about talking about, the insecurities and it admitting that at one point it was me, that it was you,
Yes. Right.
it just it resonates so much. And the idea that this is your third chapter and you're doing it, in a different way, um, really speaks to the idea of the comeback and how you set the stage in a totally different way. So how is this foundation different mentally, than, let's say, when your journey, let's say act two of your chapter?
Well, I, I'm glad that you asked that question because of the fact that Act Two, I was already, praying and asking God, could I really have a second chance at it? But Act Two was also met with a lot of disappointments and setbacks in life, failed marriages and whatever. So being I wasn't a child star, but a very young star, and then you have this lull, of years where I was actually just nobody, just out there trying to get my career together.
Mm.
And at this point, I'm just now like being 40. So a lot of people always ask, can they go back and do their 20s? I was like, child, can I do my 40s over? I'd like to, can I go there? I don't need to go all the way back there. You know what I'm saying? I just want to do the 40s over, because I know so much now
Yeah.
about life, know so much more about myself. And, so when this third act for me, where I began to see how the universe works and God works, and just a lot of things where you begin to catch on, you go, okay, wait a minute, something going on. Should I be afraid, or should I believe that this I could still have an opportunity to get the career that I wanted, to have the love that I wanted, to add some different things in my personal life that I wanted, career, and you just kind of look at it that way, and then you say, do I go for it or not? So when we came out the pandemic, I said, I'm going for it. I don't know, something feels bubbling to me, and i I want to uh embrace life more wholeheartedly. And I have no children, or um no one, pretty much. And that's okay. I just kind of looked at it, but I did say to myself, when those years and months that we were locked in and in the pandemic, and I said, when I get out of here, I would have liked to have said that I lived more, at my own funeral to myself. I mean, they're not gonna know. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna be laying up there going, child, I did this and I did that and whatever. And could you please stop crying over me? So it's just kind of, so it's kind of those things where you want to at least, and then seeing so many young people, not just necessarily young, but people who younger than me, with their lives are gone, not because of the pandemic, but because they died, or they got killed, or they had something else happen, or whatever. And then so you really have to take a look and you go, I'm still here.
Mm,
So I still must have purpose.
right.
And I don't need to know all the answers right now, but I do need to get moving. That I do, you know?
Yeah. First of all, Miss Jennifer Holliday. Uh, I just shuddered when you said earlier that you were nobody. That's how you feel. And you're 40. You said you would do 40 over again, and you said you were nobody. And I just, in my heart, like everything just stopped, because it's like we have all felt that. I talk about, this podcast derives from my divorce, bankruptcy, unemployment, and it was all simultaneous. And I think of that time where I was like, I would be walking down the street and I thought, if I spontaneously combusted, would anyone remember that I was here? And that was after I had done my little things, that I was proud of. And I was just going through this setback season. So to hear you talk about your 40s and talk about kind of your setback season and that feeling, it just hit me so hard because I think that we all think that we're alone in that space sometimes, and we're
Mhm.
really not. And it could happen to any of us. Another thing that you were talking about was the idea of the pandemic and, getting up and going and that bubbling feeling. Like that excites me so much because I call it the noise level. It's like, you have this calm, and then all of a sudden it's like in the club, like the noise just gets a little bit louder because there's something going on. It's going to be exciting, but you have to hear that jump of progression, that jump of volume. And that's when it's time, it's go time. So you to
Right.
talk about that bubbling feeling,
Mhm.
people need to learn to identify that bubbling feeling. Are there other ways that you identify when it's like it's go time?
Well, a lot of things that we ignore is our intuition and our gut. We think that it's wrong because we have been wrong before,
Mm.
not only towards our career goals, but of course towards people or something like that. And like you were saying, when that low period, you know, uh, we do think we're alone, but we also become confused about who we are and what we are to do. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? So it's not just, so that adds to the loneliness because you go, but if I did this with this and this and this, so why have I lost everything?
Mm.
Because those were good things that I did the right thing to achieve. So now with that not there, what now for me? What does that mean? Because it's not into where you punish yourself because you're just like, no, I went back over some of this stuff, and not that you can pick out your own things, or you can, your part in certain things, and then you can look back and say, well, I shouldn't have trusted this person, or I shouldn't have made this decision, and we can do all of that for a long time. But the bottom line is, though, have you made the decision that you are worthy, you are here for a person, for a reason, a purpose, and what can you do now? You know what I'm saying? What is it that you want to do? You don't have to know everything. I think that's another of our problems. We keep trying to wait for the answer for everything before we get moving. You know
Right.
what? Let's just get an answer to one thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get mad at people like when you say, well, I think I want you to, I want praying for this so and so. So, I want you to pray for, yeah. And then I want to ask God and blah, 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 blah. I say, okay, first of all, I asked you to pray for one thing. All right. Don't be adding no confusion up in here. I don't need that whole list. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm just saying what my prayer is for you. I want you to do that on your own. I ask you to be in one accordance where two or three decide on one thing. Can you just help me pray for the one thing that I want? So we have to have specificity in just at least something as we move forward.
Yes.
Then the other things kind of maybe start falling into place. And
Mm.
and that's why I said recognizing signals. And even though in the pandemic, and like I said, I'm not a very out kind of person. So I did worry when the pandemic came. I said, well, I don't even really know a lot of people, and
Mm.
I'm inside. So we're not touring, we're not working. So I don't know. And then people started looking for me. People started finding me. And I was like, okay, this is nice that people are looking for me and making sure I'm okay and want to do whatever. And then I just began to see other signs. And I try to stay read up on everything and watch. So I was watching the industry, how the music was beginning to change, go back to some R&B. And I said, okay, maybe this might be a time for me to kind of, get on this. And so, so just kind of, you just kind of recognize some things, and we're not going to be right all the time. That's the fear. Once we're wrong about love, then we say we're never going to love again. Once we're wrong about, some other investment, then we're never going to invest something again. Then once we're wrong, we just think that we're not right. But when you start reading people's bios or histories about their great success in lives, or the billionaires or the multi, they failed a lot of times.
Oh.
They messed up a lot of times. They were wrong a lot of times. But the one time they were right, or the few times, it birthed, something amazing, or something happened, so that's what I think, that each individual is different. You kind of know yourself, and go ahead and trust yourself, even if you were wrong. If your gut is telling you something, if you see a vision, you know go ahead and just try it. You may think it's silly, or impossible, or something like that, but you never know. You never know. But you also have to move forward. You have to take a step. You just have to take a step out in faith, or whatever you want to call it, and then just go ahead and just start moving toward whatever it is you want.
Comeback community, did you get that? Because that was a whole word from Miss Jennifer Holliday. Okay. I'm gonna play that now. See, you're gonna be my alarm clock. Just
Okay.
exactly what you just said. Just continue to trust your gut. People, and not only people, energy, opportunities will come looking for you, because I
Yes,
think
they
when you
will.
are in your most authentic truth and self. And as you mentioned, everybody believes, especially in this climate, in the society we live in, that we have to be all up in people's faces at all times. And I don't necessarily believe that to be true, because when you are a person of true authenticity, and no one can deny the gifts that you give, then there's always going to be a time and a place. And a lot of times those things are going to come looking for you, whether you're in people's faces or not. So
Yeah.
the idea that you have been, you said that you don't go out a lot, you're a very private person, and all of these people were looking for you based on who we know you to be and what we know you to be able to do. And I think that is a beautiful lesson for all of us.
Yeah, and stepping out of our comfort zone, because that was one of the reasons that I did The Masked Singer, was that I had said to myself, I said, well, when I come out of this pandemic, I said, I'm just gonna have a little bit more gusto. I'm always so serious. I said, so I'm gonna laugh a little more. And I'm going to, to kind of be a little bit more social, not a lot, but just, that sort of thing. And so that's what The Masked Singer did for me. It allowed me to have an alter ego personality or something. I wish it could have been like Sasha Fierce or something, but that's all right. Miss Teddy was fine, because it allowed me. I said, what do I want her to do? I want her to convey a hug to everyone that sees her. I want people to smile. I want people to, and then I wanted people to dance. And so that was one of the things I said. So I want her to dance and to just look like she's just having a good time. And then the part that is me is the singing part. I said, so that voice will be mine, but the other part will be, Miss Teddy getting a chance, to shine. And so I think that to find the courage to step out of our comfort zone, find the courage to embrace life, find the courage to love again, even after our hearts have been broken. We have to just we have to move toward whatever it is that we want, and we'll bring it to us. And I think that that's the good thing. As we get older, we're able to define that for ourselves. And I think that that was also one of the things about the pandemic, that a lot of people, once they were in the house, and people, they say, I don't even love you, I don't even know why I'm here, why this pandemic, I don't even love you. So I need, once this pandemic over, I need to find somebody to love me. So let's get a divorce, let's break up, let's whatever, because life becomes so precious.
Right.
And moments in time become so precious that we reevaluate and we reassess. So we have more confidence toward that.
I love that. I love that, because it was the pandemic, and lockdown was very much man versus self, woman versus self. And then also for those of us who were locked down with a significant other, it really showed us, what was real and what wasn't real, and, what works, what doesn't work. And you couldn't hide from that. But when I was listening to, first of all, just knowing your story and knowing you were coming on today and listening to So in Love over and over, I just kept thinking that it's so in love with oneself. Did you, was that the premise? Was that the genesis of So in Love?
Yeah, that was the premise, because the fact is, like I said, you know, as we get older, and then people think, okay, we have to settle because, after a certain age, no one's going to love us, so we're not going to be able to find this or this sort of thing. And when I was writing the song, a lot of the musicians kept saying, I said, okay, what's the backstory? I said, actually, there is no backstory. I remembered the feeling of what it was to be in love. I remembered, what it was like to be vulnerable, to be open. And even though it has not worked out sometimes, I want to try again. And I want to encourage others to try again. And if they're in a relationship, I want them to be grateful if they found it. And then if they haven't, I still want them to, to go toward it. So it's not so much about that it was so in love with myself, because I'm kind of a little worried about everyone in the self-love and the self-care, that it becomes so much that they're going to be home by themselves. It's like, so I'm kind of watching that now. It's like, okay, you know what? Love yourself, child. Love you. Like, okay, you're going to be by yourself too, So it wasn't really so much about being so in love with me. It was much more about me remembering of that feeling, that great, wonderful feeling of what love was like, and what the emotion and the passion and the laughter and all of that, even if it was brief or if it lasted, for a long time. I just wanted to write that and sing about that.
I as you were explaining about the self-love, you gonna be by yourself. First of all, that's hilarious. But I think
And
when I was
ordering
saying,
products.
yeah,
I'm not going to leave it right there.
yeah,
Be by yourself and ordering products. Those of you who know, I'm not going to say nothing
you
else.
But I think when I was saying so in love with oneself, it was because, and this was very personal, I should have clarified it too. But, after I got a divorce and I was thinking, will I get married again? And I really didn't know. And I was embarrassed, about the idea that if I did get married again, would it be seen, like what would other people think? How would that make me feel? Would I be seen as like less of a partner because I failed at this institution once? I had all of these things running through my head. And what ended up happening was when I did meet the man that I married and am married to, my husband, I had gotten to this checklist that I really kind of I related to as you were singing, or as I was listening to So in Love, because I realized that I was at a point where I didn't necessarily know what I wanted, but I definitely knew what I didn't want. And I knew the things that made me happy. So it was almost like I was replaying the things that made me happy. And I was attracting those things, but also doing these self accountability things. So I
Mhm.
got all of those moments from So in Love. And that's why I said it as in like so in love with self, because in order to love someone else, you have to love yourself. And I just thought this was such a great song for a woman or a man who was thinking about trying to find love again and remembering what that felt like.
I understand that too, and I understand that clarification. But but you don't have to love yourself in order to love someone. Now, you do have to love yourself in order to be able to really receive the love,
Mm,
because other than that, there would be no need for anybody. You understand? So God can send people into our lives who have have what we need, who will make us love ourselves, because they're not going to take advantage of us. They're not going to abuse our love. They are going to show us why we're worthy when they're not there, or not make us needy and dependent and stuff like that, and not going to be a narcissist or something like that. And we'll attract it all. We'll attract what we need in love in a relationship, and we'll attract the others too. What inside of us, though, will make us go toward the one that we actually don't need. See, so that's why we have therapy. And that's why we all need to go. You know, that's why we need to go, you know. And because therapy does not necessarily mean that we actually have mental health problems. Therapy, we can also just go to want to know ourselves better, and to work toward that love that we can do with someone else. We don't really have to choose and say, well, once I love myself, then I'm going to find a person, and then I'm going to be everything or whatever like that. And I do think that both can exist. I think that you can love yourself in order to have the love you want. But I also think that someone can love you to life. Someone can love you to know who you are, if they are that kind of person, man or woman, to bring that part out of you, and to acknowledge that and help you find your worthiness, you know, with them, not dependent upon them, or you know, like I said, but you know, to do all of that. So I think that both your situation and others who are late to learning to love themselves, trust themselves, believe in themselves, can also still, you know, move forward, and don't say, well, I gotta wait until, you know, I feel confident, or I gotta wait until I'm a size 8 or size 10. You know, the person who meets you at whatever size you are, and if you are desirous of being smaller, should encourage that, and not, you know, once they start sabotaging, they're gonna say, okay, you ain't the one, because I don't want to be this size, and whatever like that. So a lot of things we have to learn in communication, and when we're getting off the track of what we want. And that only comes through communication and talking. What are your goals? What do you want? Do we want the same thing? You know, I don't, you know, I don't know, you know, I don't know.
I find it so divinely ordered that you, as a admittedly more of an, I would say, introvert personality. So
Yeah.
you don't go out as much, you know, you're not as
Right.
you weren't as social, but in the age of transparency, here you are saying, I'm going to do a little bit more of this. I'm going to be a little bit more social. I'm going to do something I haven't done before, right at the right moment. And you have so much to give, just being so honest and vulnerable with, you know, your testimony. And I appreciate you so much. I know my comeback community appreciates you so much. Miss
Thank you.
Jennifer Holliday, before we let you go, is there any imparting wisdom that you'd like to share with our comeback community, other than, because we're gonna play it out, we're gonna talk about So in Love, the fact that everybody needs to download it, okay?
Well, the other thing I want to say is that during the pandemic, because we had to, those of us who don't have, you know, spouses or children or pets or anything, who've had to, you know, figure out what do you do besides streaming, you know, you kind of, you know, you spend a lot of time alone with yourself. So either you got to realize some parts of yourself that you didn't like, or some parts that you didn't like before going into the pandemic, some parts that could be changed. But one thing I want to make sure is that whoever we are, that all of us don't need to be changed to be loved, meaning that every part of you does not have to be changed. Yes, we can work on some stuff, but don't start tearing yourself down with an unrealistic checklist. Well, the reason why he didn't love me is because I'm overweight. The reason why he didn't love me is because, I don't know how to cook. The reason why he didn't love me is because, and the reason why people don't do it because, I don't have money, or I do this or whatever like that. Most parts of ourselves, because we are uniquely and beautifully made, each as individuals. Let's embrace those things. And then, like I said, that's why conversation is so important, especially in relationships, and I've had to tell people, I've had to tell a man, okay, don't let me hurt you. Meaning that I can put my guard up of trust and whatever like that. So don't let me say something to you that's not kind. Check me on it. You know what I'm saying? Just check me on it and just say, Jennifer, was that really necessary? I don't think that I've done anything to you to do that. So you have to also just know that if you are just you guarded, you're getting back, you may have a strict, stern personality. You may have I don't think you need to change all of that. I think you need to realize that as you are growing to love yourself, then you also have to have people who are growing to love you as well, but not who will let you also make mistakes of making a fool of yourself or making them be hurt by your inability to cope or to love or to trust, so that's why in the song I say, I used to have insecurity, whatever like that, but you have to have somebody, let people love you and let people check you. And so that way, as you grow, you don't have to be somebody that you're not in order to say, okay, well, I'm going to change this because that's the only way people are love. No, you don't have to change every little thing.
Right.
You have to change some of the things. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to make sure that people know that they are beautiful and uniquely made, and that they have worth because they are still here. They have purpose because they are still here. And there's got to be a reason that you just have to say, what can I offer the world? Even the smallest little thing, can make a difference in your life and in the lives of others. You don't have to be a superstar. You don't have to be a hero. You don't have to be any of those things, but you do have to be whoever you are and accept that and embrace you and move forward.
Yes. Cheers to moving forward.
Moving forward. That's all I can say. Let's just move forward.
Queen, this has been such an honor, such a blessing. I thank you so much for spending just a little bit of time with us on Comeback with Erica Cobb to pick up Miss Jennifer Holliday's new single, So in Love. We are going to download this, okay? And you're going to tell your mama, you're going to tell all your friends, your cousins, everybody. We all download.
It's on all streaming platforms. Wherever you get your music, it should be there, Yes. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope with this spring and the summer coming, that you will find love, or you will keep hope alive, that you are going to stroll upon love in Whole Foods Market.
Yeah. Hey, love can be found anywhere, even in the
yes, love can be found anywhere.
Yes,
at the grocery store.
Sure. Exactly.
Just get an empty basket, baby, and go. That's all I got to say.
Miss Jennifer Holliday, thank you so much. My Comeback community, check us out. Full podcast on comeback.tv. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Queen. You take care.
Oh, you too.
Bye.